Alright y'all, so since y'all said you took something away from the last video, I went ahead and wanted to make this RPE video because you're going to see it within your program. And if you're a new lifter, you want to understand this. If you're a veteran lifter, you still want to understand this pretty well, because this is how you're going to gauge if you're making any progress whatsoever, or also this is how you're going to be able to gauge your workouts, if you're getting stronger, if you're not getting stronger, and what's going to be optimal for you to make the best amount of gains. So we're going to go over the RPE scale and what this is going to do for you within your training and how it can benefit you with or without your trainer. So if you're hitting an exercise and you want to know if you're doing the proper amount of weight, this is how you're going to be able to gauge it if it's not already written within your program. So rating of perceived exertion, that's your RPE scale. So there's RPE of 10, 9.5, 8.5, 8, 7.5, 7, 5 through 6, and 1 through 4. For our purposes, whenever you're trying to put on muscle mass and things like that, we want to be around this area. There are going to be times, even down here, but there are going to be times where you want to go up into that maximum 10. Like let's say we're doing a set of max effort jumping squats, or just regular squats. Maybe regular squats are hard enough for you, or if you're doing max effort push-ups. So that's as many reps as possible. When you're at an RPE 10, that's like you can do no more repetitions. You probably can't go up in weight. That would be your max. Now you can feel that even when you're not doing a lot of weight and you're just doing a set of push-ups. You know, unless you can do 200 or 300 push-ups on the fly, but sometimes you're gonna get to that 54th rep on some push-ups and you're gonna feel the lactic acid, or 12 reps or 8 reps or whatever your maximum is, and say, I can't do anymore. That's your RPE of 10. Now 9.5 is you probably couldn't do anymore, but you might have been able to use a little bit more weight. So if we were doing 100 pounds on a back squat and you squatted and you came up and it was a little hard, you're pushing and you can barely get up there, but you don't feel like you had another repetition, but you probably could have moved up in weight to 105 pounds or 110, then that would be your RPE 9.5. Now RPE 8.5, maybe you had another repetition, maybe you had 2 more repetitions, maybe you could have went up in work. So that's about 80% of the maximum of what you can do. So, you know, maybe you were doing an incline bench press or a dumbbell bench press, and you had your dumbbells and you were pushing, and the program called for 8 sets of 12 repetitions, and you were able to hit your 12 repetitions, then you felt like you could have done 13, 14 more, but you wouldn't have made it to the 15th. That would be your RPE 8.5. Now RPE 8, the most you could have done was like 2 more repetitions. Maybe you could squeeze out 3. Now these repetitions are where you're going to be promoting a little bit more muscle mass. So let's say you were in that 8 to 12 rep range and you could only scrape around to 8 reps or 10 reps and you couldn't potentially make it to the 12, then that would be RPE of 8. Now 7.5, you're doing your 8 to 12 repetitions whenever you're called upon to do those exercises, and you could probably squeeze out 2 or 3 more. But that being said, you know, you wouldn't be able to go over the 8 to 12. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So let me break that down for you, because that 7.5 could mean the weight that you're using. Maybe you can lift up 100-pound dumbbells and that would be your max. So the 70-pound dumbbells would be like that RPE of 7, because you could perform your repetitions all the way through. Now if you felt like you had 2 or 3 more repetitions left in the tank, then that would be that RPE 7.5. Now you could do more than 3 repetitions after you finish your set, then you probably want to go a little bit heavier on the weight, or you want to up the repetitions. because maybe you can't do the 12 repetitions, or maybe you can't do the 75s, and you can do the 70s for 12, 13, 15 repetitions. That's how you would squeeze out a little bit more work into your session. Then this one right here, RPE 5, 6, 1 through 4, I'll cover them together. You could probably do 4, 6, sometimes even 15, 20 repetitions when you're in these. Very light effort. That is going to be too light for you to go ahead and stimulate growth like a body weight push-up, unless you're going into those higher rep ranges of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 repetitions, or even 100. Now, for cardio, you can use this too. So for cardio, you'll probably want to be around an 8, 8.5 for performance levels. Like, let's say you were going to go run a 5K or a 10K, 13K. Sometimes you'll need to be up in those zones. Now, if you're doing more long distance, you might have a steady pace of an RPE of 5, where you can maintain a jog or something like that. But if it's a maximum sprint, you'll feel that RPE of 10. And then once you're right in between, that RPE of 7, that's like 25 minutes on the Stairmaster, 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, things like that. That's how you differentiate your cardio. But let me know if this helps you out, and we'll keep the videos going so they can go ahead and help you out. I'll be covering one about nutrition next.